everybody. I'm Father Casey, the pastor of Epiphany of our Lord Church, and welcome back to the Fourth Magi. This Sunday begins Holy Week, the high holy days in the Catholic Church, where we remember Jesus' passion, his death, his resurrection, how he suffered for us, how he died for us, and how he rose again in the resurrection. We celebrate the institution of the Holy Eucharist, and these are very, very important days. But we begin the week with Palm Sunday, and everybody loves their palm, and they come to church and they get their palm and they put it somewhere in their house, or they make little designs with it or crosses, and it's a very important day for many people. Even for those who don't go to church the whole year, they show up for Palm Sunday, which is fine. It's like having family come back from a holiday. But Palm Sunday begins Holy Week. And it is the story of the Passion of Jesus. You know, that's why it's called Palm Sunday, but it's also called Passion Sunday, because we have the reading of the Passion. But it begins with the Lord's entry into Jerusalem. Now, over these past many weeks, and in the whole reading of the Gospel up until this point, we have been hearing about Jesus' miracles. We have heard and we've read about him, healing a blind man, reading hearts and minds of the woman of Samaria, raising Lazarus from the dead. Jesus has done everything in his power to show his disciples and anyone who would listen that he is the Messiah. He is the card-carrying Messiah. He has all of the requisites of healing the blind, the sick, the lame, casting out demons, and raising people from the dead. So if you don't believe that he's the Messiah at this point, then your heart is as hard as stone. But Jesus is welcomed into Jerusalem to cries of Hosanna in the highest, because they believe that he is the Messiah. The people that are shouting Hosanna in the highest. But it's interesting, Jesus enters Jerusalem on a donkey. And that is very significant in this gospel, because when a Messiah was going to enter a city, if you entered the city on a donkey, you entered the city as a peaceful king. But if you entered the city on a horse, you were a king of war, or a king of battle. So it's very significant that Jesus enters Jerusalem on a donkey, because he is the King of Peace. It's important for us to realize that. And that's a clue as to what he's going to come up against, because he is not the Messiah that everybody thinks and wants. He's not this political Messiah that is going to overthrow the Roman government, start a revolution, have a call to arms, and start some violent revolution in Jerusalem. And that's important, because that's kind of where people kind of get turned off, because it's not really what they want. They want a king that will make war on the Romans, but that's not Jesus. And Jesus is giving a good hint of that by making sure he enters the city on a donkey. So he enters the city of Jerusalem on this donkey with palm branches being laid down in front of him as a sign of respect and reverence. But it's interesting that we begin the story with the entry into Jerusalem to his cries of Hosanna, but we end the story with the cries in the courtyard to Pontius Pilate to crucify him, crucify him. And it's an interesting reflection, because so many of us worry about what other people think of us. We do lots of things to make sure that people like us, that we are part of the in crowd, that we are cool, or we don't have any enemies, and we say and do things to please people all the time. But The human person is a very fickle individual. And we can spend all of our energy and we can spend all of our time trying to make sure that other people like us and are pleased by our actions. And yet, sometimes we can do one of the slightest things and someone will turn against us. Or we can say the wrong thing, have a bad day, and an entire group of people can turn against us. And the problem is that when we try to please other people, when we compromise our values, when we compromise who we are for other people, well, it doesn't work. Because in the end, they may turn on us anyway. And not only are we left without the support of those people that we work so hard to please, but then we've also lost part of ourselves because we compromised ourselves along the way. Our morals, our values, the things that we believe in, because we want other people to like us. We must always remember this story of Jesus, who did so many incredible things, that he did deserve the cries of Hosanna in the highest. And that was on Sunday. But by Friday, they crucified him. Look how quickly the tide turned against him. And that can happen to us. So we must remember, as Christians, we must always be true to ourselves, be true to who we are, to be true to who we are baptized into. That is Jesus, the Son of God. And if we never abandon him, he will never abandon us. It's good reflection for this week. God bless you.